Hello dear students, we were discussing the corporate level strategies in the last few classes, and we had started with the growth strategies, and in growth strategies we had discussed multiple strategies. These were the 6 expansion or growth strategies under corporate strategies which we have been discussing over a period of time in this class, and we have discussed expansion through concentration, expansion through diversification, then expansion through integration, then expansion through cooperation, expansion through internationalization, and the last one which we will discuss today is expansion through digitalization. So, now everybody must have heard this term digital, and there is a lot of emphasis in today's time in the country to go digital. So, what is digitalization? Digitalization is the use of digital technologies to change a business model and provide new revenue and value providing opportunities. It is the process of moving a business to a digital business. Now, this is very important that digitalization does not merely mean that we are using computers or we are using more and more of IT in business. It means that, but that is not the only part of it. It also means that we are using the computers or technology in order to provide new revenue and value producing opportunities. So, this is very important, value producing opportunities and new revenue, right. So, when through digital transformation or when we are moving to digital mode, then if more value is being produced just for the sake of looking modern, if we are moving to digital, then that will not be an expansion or growth strategy. It will be just a change in the mode in which we do things. But when it is leading to more revenue and it is the company and the customers are able to derive more value out of that, then it will be a proper digitalization strategy under expansion strategies. Now, it is the digital coding of information and the growing productivity gains in processing and transmission it enables. So, as I said here also, the same thing is being said here. You should be able to derive certain productivity gains out of this transformation to the digital medium, and there should be a gain in processing, there should be a gain in the transmission of information. So, that is how we can say that digitalization will lead to expansion or the growth of business. Now, digitalization and value chain. First, before we discuss the strategies of digitalization, we will discuss that how digitalization can add more value in the value chain of the company. Now, there are different ways by which you going for digital modes can add value. Now, what is a value chain? If you recall, then we have discussed the concept of value chain in other lectures, and the concept of value chain, in a normal organization, in a traditional organization, would start from the supplier. He would give raw materials, he would provide raw materials to the manufacturer, then it is going to move to the manufacturer, then it is from the manufacturer it is going to go to the distributor, then moving to the retailer, and then to the customer at the last. So, this is this is a general value chain which is there in an organization, and if digitalization can provide some more value, it can improve this process, then it will be a proper digital strategy. That is what we are trying to say. So this is, as I said, there may be changes in different organizations in this value chain, but generally more or less a generalized value chain would look like this. So what are the changes which digitalization can bring in the value chain? First is deconstruction. Now what is deconstruction? That is, services can be delivered digitally. Services can be delivered digitally, meaning thereby that the whole the whole thing which we deliver to the customer, the whole product and a bundle, whatever we deliver to the customer, is broken down into smaller components, and certain things can be delivered physically, and certain things can be delivered digitally. For example, now a company is manufacturing laptops, right? So deconstruction would mean, earlier the company was providing the laptop, the warranty card, the service manual or the instruction manual, everything was in the physical mode, right? But now the company can break down the value chain, and the laptop, being a physical product, has to be delivered physically, and the other parts like instruction manual or the warranty card, etc., they can be delivered digitally. They do not have to be in the hard copy format. The customer can log into the website of the company, put a login ID, user and password, and then he can access to all those things which have not been delivered in the physical form. So that is deconstruction of a value chain. Then the second is disintermediation. Now disintermediation is the same process in the value chain, some process in the value chain are eliminated. Like for example, if you feel that there are certain things which are happening in this value chain which are of no use, they are not giving any value or they can be improved, then if we remove one or two processes in the value chain, then that would be disintermediation. Now for example, initially people used to go to the railway counters, the booking counters, to get tickets for themselves. So it was a long queue and people used to wait for hours together. Then came out the concept of travel agents. So travel agents, for a commission, they would get everything done for the customer and they would take money from them, right? And then after that, what did railway started? Railway started they started their own web portal wherein customers can book tickets sitting from anywhere to any place, and they did not require a travel agent in between. They can be booked online. So they have removed the concept of a travel agent as such. A physical entity has been removed and more value is being given to the customer, because he can see the choices before his own eyes and he can book whenever he wants from the convenience of his home or office, wherever he wants. So that is what we call as disintermediation. Then next is reintermediation. As the name suggests, that reintermediation is the process in the value chain are supplemented by one or more intermediaries. So there are certain processes which are happening in the value chain, and when we increase the number of intermediaries in this process, then it is known as reintermediation. Now how will it occur, or how, in real life? Say for example, a book which is sold by the publisher through his own store, and also it is being sold through Amazon, right? So there has been one intermediary at the same level which has been added. So now it is available online also and offline also. So that is reintermediation. Similarly, we have all have some or the other point of time ordered through Swiggy, Zomato. So what they have done, Swiggy and Zomato, restaurants, they have not introduced a new concept. As such, restaurants were delivering food at home earlier also. This is a very old concept, right? So what they have done, they have introduced when restaurants have started delivering through Swiggy and Zomato also, with their own delivery boys also. So what is happening, one more partner has been added, or one more process in the value chain has been added. Now as a result of that, what is happening, the efficiency and the performance of the system has improved. Why? Because earlier it used to happen that restaurants used to deliver in a very fixed radius, right, a very fixed radius. So if I live in locality A and if I want to get, I like a restaurant in locality D and I want to order food from there, then I will not be able to order. I have to go and collect on my own, because that restaurant does not deliver, it delivers generally in a 5 km radius only. But with the help of Swiggy and Zomato, you can order from any point in your city to any point, right. So that is the benefit of re-intermediation. Then next is industry morphing. Now as the definition and the name suggest, traditional boundaries of business are changed and transformed by morphing. There is a total transformation in the business scene, and there is a total change in the processes. And one very good example of industry morphing is banking. The whole scenario, the whole model of business has changed as a result of digitalization. And it is not merely that they have moved from manual record keeping to computer record keeping. There has been a change. Now I will ask you that how many times have you visited your bank? And just ask your parents how many times they visited their bank when they were of your age. Right. So they must have visited many times people have to visit 2-3 times a week itself to the bank. But today for most of the services we can do via the website of the bank, we can visit the ATM, we can visit the the counter for the dropping of the checks and etc. And we can, so we don't have to physically enter the bank to get our things done. So the total scenario of the industry as such has changed. Banks which were maybe 20 years back, and today they are totally drastically different. Even banks do not want much of customers to visit physically, they want them to do things outside the actual premises of the bank. So that is industry morphing. Then next is cannibalization. Now cannibalization is a word which I think students, you must be familiar with. It is a word which is used when the organism of a particular species eats up the organism of the same species. So for example, if a man eats a man, then that is a cannibalization. So similarly here, when it is used in the terms of a value chain, that means certain activities or certain processes in the value chain are eating up the other processes in the value chain. So for example, this will occur always in tandem with disintermediation. Certain processes in the value chain are removed, eliminated, and certain other processes are introduced. So what will happen? The older processes will be eaten away by the new processes. So if you remember that when mobile phones were introduced, we had to, if we had a prepaid connection, then we have to get them recharged after a fixed time period. Now earlier, what was the concept of a recharge? We had to go to a vendor who had recharge coupons. You would ask the price of those recharge coupons and the plans available, and then he would have to ask for a particular plan. He would give you a physical coupon, and then you had to open that coupon, scratch it, and then there was a particular code. You have to enter that code in the mobile, and then your recharge was done, right? So many times if you dial the, I mean, you key in the wrong number of your phone, there is one digit just you miss, what will happen? The entire recharge goes to some other phone number and your phone is still not recharged. And many times what happens, you know, there is a problem of change and all those things. So and sometimes, you know, those recharges which were of denominations which were most popular, say for example a recharge of 50 rupees, very popular, right, among, you know, students, among people who think that, you know, a small recharge would be good for them. Those denominations were not available in the market because of heavy demand, and because coupons were not available in the market. Now the concept has changed. The entire the process of, you know, issuing of physical coupons by companies and then these being coupons being sold to the customers has changed. Now what do? We just have an app where we can recharge ourselves, right? And there is no question of mobile number being wrong or a wrong recharge or the denomination not available. Suppose if I want to get a recharge of 500 rupees a month. So if I go to the vendor, he says, oh, 500 rupees coupon is not available, either go for 350 or go for 700. But here when you are, you know, recharging through an app, there is no such problem. You know, all problems are solved. So one activity in the value chain of you know, going for a digital recharge, right, or through an app has replaced, entirely killed away the other activity of a physical recharge through a physical coupon. Then next is techno intensification. Now as the very name suggests, it refers to the intensive use of technology. You are using too much of technology, and what does it, is it leading to? It is leading to decreased use of human resources, because in all the you know, processes we are actually using more and more of technology. But in techno intensification, what happens as a result of that? It leads to the decreased use of manpower or human resources. So for example, you must have called you know, customer care numbers of many companies, and wherein you hear a voice, you hear a voice which says press 1 for English, press 2 for Hindi, then press 1 for this if you want to register a complaint, if you want to log in, if you are having problems with this, then press 3, and there are a lot of options, and as you follow the instructions you move from one step to another, and in the last final round, if you are not able to get a satisfactory answer through these, you know, automated process, then you have to wait for a customer care executive. So many of the preliminary questions are already answered through those automated machines, right? So what is happening? The use of human resource or the interface with the human resource is being shifted to the last level. So that is what we call as techno intensification. And the last is rechanneling. Now rechanneling, it is more focus on services, marketing, etc. of value chain through online process. When all these activities we try to outsource or we try to move online, or when we try to outsource, then in that case we want to pass it on to some certain other service providers or certain other companies. We don't do it ourselves, we pass it on to others. So how does digitalization help in that? Digitalization helps us in keeping a proper track on those activities which we have passed on to others. If we are not doing an activity ourselves, then how do we know that to whom we have passed that activity, he is or that company is doing it efficiently? It is through the use of digital monitoring techniques that we come to know about it. For example, most of you must be knowing, you know, Apple has recently launched its new models of iPhones, and but I am sure most of you must be knowing that Apple does not manufacture its iPhones. It only does research and development. It brings out software, it you know, prepares a design, and then the entire contract is what we call in Hindi theka, right? The entire contract of manufacturing is given, most of it is given to a company called Foxconn in Taiwan. So the entire production is being done by them, and Apple is monitoring the progress through digital modes, and it is also monitoring the quality of the sets being produced by this manufacturer. It is being able to track it properly through digital modes. So this is how companies outsource and then use digital techniques to make sure that things which have been outsourced are being done according to their expectations, right. Similarly, you must have heard of McDonald's, which does not produce its own buns, or it sources vegetables, buns, sauces, cheese, etc. from different suppliers. It does not produce anything on its own. It only sources from here and there, different suppliers whose quality check it keeps under control, and then it only assembles the burger which we all enjoy, right. So that is how rechanneling occurs. Then there are other companies also. Nike is such a famous shoe company, but you must be aware that only Nike would design, and it would only do research and development on features, new features which have to be added into the shoe, so that it is more comfortable for the sports person and athletes to to wear and to be the best in whatever sports or athletics they are. But it does not produce its own shoes. It has outsourced the entire process. Now we come to the digital strategies. Now we have understood how digitalization can change the value chain. So from there only we can derive the digital strategies. Now the first digital strategy is e-channel pattern, and in e-channel pattern there are four models which are possible. First is transaction enhancement. Transaction enhancement, as the name suggests, transaction is a give and take. I give a product to somebody and the person pays me money. So this is the give and take or the transaction. Now if we enhance these transactions, we can improve or we can replace an old method with a new method, then that is what we call as transaction enhancement, and digitalization has definitely helped in transaction enhancement. It augments or replaces the old transaction method, in most cases does not alter other aspects of the process. Now for example, demonetization happened in India. Now as a result of demonetization, what happened, that there was a problem in procuring new currency. What happened as a result of that? Even otherwise also the government is encouraging us to go for digital or cashless modes of payment. So that is what we call as transaction enhancement. In this time of COVID also, many of the people are going for digital payments, either through Paytm or through internet banking or so, because they want contactless payment system. Even online retailers, they are insisting on, they are not providing, most of them are not providing cash on delivery, because again there will be contact in between, but they want you to make digital payments. So that is transaction enhancement. There is a manufacturer, there are other parties in between. This is a value chain which I had drawn earlier also, and there is a consumer, and there is something which is being added here in terms of improving the transaction process, either here or here, somewhere it is being added to improve the transaction process. Then next is e-channel innovation. Now as the name suggests, e-channel innovation, when you are introducing a new aspect in the channel. So pioneering new channels. And why are you pioneering new channels? To satisfy. You are not only wanting to satisfy, but to anticipate. That is, even if the customer has not thought of it, we are trying to satisfy his needs, those needs which he has neither thought of, or they are still not met, they are not being properly satisfied. So potential customer needs, in order to satisfy those unmet or potential customer needs, then in that case we are pioneering new channels. So, for example, demat account, shares, earlier there was physical trading, now there is this digital trading. You don't have to keep shares in the form of papers. Or e-stamping, right? Earlier a person who had to go for registry of his property, there he had to buy take money and buy those stamp papers, and now he can just transfer the money online and he will be issued e-stamps. Then next is e-channel pattern. The third model is e-channel compression. As you see, it is eliminating the redundant steps in the channel. And why do we eliminate? Because the value added is less, the cost of the channel is more. So, here for example, you must have come across, if you are applying for admission to somewhere, you do not have to buy a form, then make a draft and then send it via post. You can just download the form, fill the form, pay through internet banking, and everything is done. You do not have to move anywhere. So, that is what we have eliminated, certain processes in between. So, there is this value chain and we have eliminated a step in between. Then next is e-channel enhancement. Now, here we are lengthening the length of the channel. For improvement only, we are lengthening the length, increasing the length of the channel, and here what we are doing is we are adding intermediaries. Intermediary plus information makes it intermediary. That means, like for example, Facebook. You must have seen in Facebook, if you are liking a particular type of post, then it will give you ads related to that post only. So, it is acting as an information intermediary between that company which is providing the ad and between you as a customer. Then click and brick pattern is very, very simple. You can see that there are certain companies which are there in the physical form also, and they are available, their products are available online also. So, that is a click and brick pattern, right, and it is very, very beneficial. Customer can order online and then go to the store to replace the item if he or she wants, and then most of the companies are operating in this model. So, the traditional business adopts some aspects of the new organization. Then the next is e-portal pattern. Here it is an intermediary or middleman offering an aggregate set of services to a well defined group of users. So, for example, e-portals, very, very common, right. For example, M-Kisan, this will provide the farmers, it will bring together the agri experts, farmers, and they will provide advisory to the farmers from time to time. So, again value added services are being offered. Then the next is e-market maker. E-market maker, again it is an online intermediary, but it is connecting wide range of buyers and sellers, but the industry is common. Now, here you must have heard of 99acres.com or propertybazaar.com or urban clap, right. So, these are e-market maker pattern types of organizations. And the last is the pure e-digital products pattern. Here their products have no physical existence, they are produced, delivered, consumed and licensed electronically. So, for example, if you want an essay to be delivered to you online, so you will pay online and it will be delivered. There is no physical presence or there is no physical delivery of the essay. Similarly, music, similarly web series, very, very popular these days, they are produced and delivered online, no physical concept. So, I hope that you have understood the concepts of digitalization strategy, and this finishes with the corporate level strategies under the growth strategies. Thank you so much.